All right, so we have Jonah here today. Jonah have one crazy journey since we met. We're gonna talk about all those details. First, I'm gonna let Jonah go ahead and introduce himself. Introduce yourself, Jonah.
What's going on? My name is Jonah Allen. I'm a photographic artist, so I use a camera to make all my art, and I'm based in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida.
Where you at currently? Because you can see all the beautiful pieces behind you.
Yeah, I'm currently at my gallery. I have my own gallery location in Northwest Florida, Santa Rosa Beach. Give you guys a little view of it here. It's about a little over 1,000 square feet, and it's a new location. So I'm super grateful for this location because it's working out quite well thus far.
Yep. Fun fact about Jonah is that this is actually one of Jonah pieces behind me on this wall. It's actually the biggest artwork I own. Let me see if I can show it a little bit. Just here. So John ended up sending me a piece. What it was like earlier this year at some point.
Yeah, it was either earlier this year or the end of last year. I don't remember. Yeah, no, it's earlier this year. That's right. It was earlier this year.
Yep. So we definitely got a lot to talk about. We'll even get to a little bit how this piece ended up on my wall, and we'll just go from there. So 10 minutes, just to give a little background about your art career. How would you describe your art in your words? What kind of art do you create?
Yeah, so I use a camera, and all my work is really based around the water. For me, I have a really deep connection with the water. When I'm out swimming in the ocean, I feel really connected to the divine. And so it's my goal to kind of capture that feeling, that essence, and transport people to that place I was in. So I use a camera. It goes inside a water housing, and I go swimming in the ocean, or kind of like any perspective I possibly can get to get the idea, to make the image or the pieces that I have in my mind. A lot of things are like premeditated. And so I'll charter helicopters to work on aerial photographs. I'll get in the water. I will work from the sand. Try to just change my perspective all the time to keep me inspired.
So what was the process to get a piece like that type of shot of the jellyfish behind you?
Yeah, it's my newest piece. It's called Ballet of the Pink Meanie. And I was actually out surfing, and I saw these jellyfish, and I've seen them before, and I'd always wanted to make an image of a jellyfish because for me, I wanted to convey the essence of a jellyfish that's beautiful, that's ephemeral, that's feminine, that's like dancing in the water, which is kind of the inverse of what a lot of people feel, or when they think of jellyfish, they think stinging, gross, ew. So I wanted to convey this like really beautiful aspect of that most people don't see. And so I was actually out surfing and I saw a bunch of them, and I saw it being a once in a lifetime opportunity because there are hundreds of them. So the next morning, I woke up, my camera, went snorkel, mask, fins, camera inside a water housing. It's a process just to get out there, and I shot them for about 8 hours, and then I made a commitment to myself. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible! Like the light's insane, the water clarity is perfect. Like all these variables came into alignment just perfectly, and so I made a commitment to shoot them to make work until they're no longer there. So I shot them all the next day, the next morning. So that's when I made that one. This beautiful like morning light. And then the third day, woke up, gone. So I knew that like I'm so thankful that I shot for like 16 hours and I probably got like 10,000 images. But the one behind me, you can't really see it at this angle, but it's the one. It's like, and actually I'm super grateful too because I shot this in September last year, but I just released the piece about 2 months ago.
Yep.
And I do edition to 12. I only make 12 of each piece, and I've already sold 8, which is like the fastest I've ever sold, or fastest I've ever sold like this many of the edition's almost out. So I'm really.
And to give everybody some context, right? So you took about what you say 10,000 or 16,000 images. So
I don't remember
a lot.
probably like 10,000, yeah, at least.
Right. And then out of all 10,000 images, you chose one.
I did, yeah. And I will release other ones in the future, but I just wanted to release my favorite one first and just put that one out to the world.
So is it possible, if it's not much, can you share about it what that piece looked like? Whether you bring a computer or...
Yeah, let's do it. I'll just roll over there. I'll show you here. Let's see here.
That's crazy.
Let's see if I'm like... The way the computer works is inverse.
Yeah, I know. So it's like...
That's true.
There we go. Now it looks good. The crazy part is, when I first seen it afterwards, I told you, I was like, dude, that's the shot. Like, that's a beautiful Beautiful shot. Now to give people some context, you said you had 16 editions of this?
12.
12. And
12.
out the 12, you sold 8, and you said it's the fastest you ever sold. Now, the people, when some people hear I have 12 prints and I sold 8, people don't think like that's not much. So to give people some context, how much did each print cost?
Yeah, so I increased the price every third edition, but the base price was 11,600, and then it went to 12,800, and so now it's above that now.
Yep. So basically, what's going on is that you sold 8, but you're talking about 8 pieces at a bare minimum of 11,000.
Yeah, there was one I did. No, the base was actually for a smaller size was 6,100, but I don't sell that one. Once it gets to edition number 6, I don't make any of the small ones. Just like the first 3, I can allocate towards a small size.
Yep.
So yeah, the lowest it was sold at was 6,100, but the average, has been like 11,600 or
Yep.
in that range.
And to get such detailed shots like you do and go through that whole process of like chartering helicopters and going underwater and protecting your gear and everything that goes into that, how long have you been creating this type of work?
Yeah, so I picked up a camera when I was about 14 years old, and so I've been making images since I was 14, and I'm 29 now, and I'm really bad at math, so I can't tell you how many years that is. It's been like basically for half my life. I'm about to be 30, so I started making. I've been making images for that long, and it's always been about the water. It's always I never liked taking portraits of people. I never wanted to do because most of the time photography is a service-based job. You're making an image for a client, right? So you're advertising agency, interior designer, real estate agent, or portraits, weddings. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to make the work I wanted to make and then sell it. So to answer your question, I've been making, honing in my eye for, 15, 16 years, but I really didn't start my artistic journey of like really selling art until end of 2017.
What made you realize like, you know what, I'm about to start trying to sell this art?
Yeah, so to walk you through my journey, and it relates to my artwork. When I was about 12 years old, so I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up away from the water. So
Yeah.
when I was 12 years old, I was actually down here in Florida, and my parents bought me a surf lesson. Nobody in my family surfed, but for some reason they decided to buy me a surf lesson. I don't know why, but I caught my first wave, and it changed my life. Literally changed the whole trajectory of my life. I got hooked on surfing. Then 2 years later, a friend of mine was given an underwater camera, but he didn't really, for like Christmas or for his birthday, he didn't really take interest in it.
People at the gallery.
Love to cut there. Wow, sorry about that. My dog just saw somebody.
No, you're fine.
Anyway,
Hopefully
so
nobody have headphones in listening to this.
my friend was given an underwater camera for his birthday or Christmas, but didn't really take interest to it. And so I borrowed it, and that was 16 years ago, and I haven't put a camera down since. And then since I grew up in Atlanta, I really didn't have that much access to the water to be able to make photographs or to be able to surf. And so after I went to University of Georgia, I actually went to art school. I minored in art, and I majored in marketing. And then I took a year and I chased waves around the world for a year, like just complete vagabond living, camped in a tent, like just dirtbag living. It was an incredible year, just chasing world class waves around the world, like every continent. And then I had no money, moved down to Florida, and at the time my biggest passion was music, writing and recording music. And I worked at a recording studio, and so I was here in Florida, and I was like, man, like just there's no market for the music I want to make. It's really hard to make a living as a musician. And I was like, oh, I can't make a living from surfing down here because the waves aren't that great. I don't want to do surf lessons. I don't want to, sacrifice my time surfing for other people. And I just saw this opportunity because where I live, there's artists, but there was no artist making, in my opinion, really tasteful artwork around the subject matter.
I'm gonna pause you there. Quick question.
Yeah.
With you being a photographer, right, and you creating these tasteful, in your words, pieces, how do you feel, or what's your perception on like certain people that say, "Oh, photography shouldn't be worked as much as like a painting or so.
Yeah, I mean, so it kind of relates back to art history. Painting has been around for much longer than photography. In terms of art, in terms of the art world, like photography is the newest medium in the art world. It's only since the late 1800s that photography has been around. So it's only been around for like, a couple hundred years, not that long.
Right.
So, um, it wasn't until really the kind of like late 20th century and then early 21st century that photography kind of entered the realm of the art world and was thought of um, as like a legitimate medium in the art world. So now, I mean, there are photographs that sell for tens of millions of dollars. I mean,
And
hundreds of
that
dollars.
was actually going to be my next question. So I talked to a lot of photographers who want to join a training, and when I talk to them, a lot of photographers believe it's so hard to sell a photo at those price points. When I say those price points, I'm talking about just over 1,000, 2,000. So what allowed you to have that mental shift to say, you know what, I believe my work is worth 10,000, 15?
That's a great question. I think honestly, it was belief is the foundation for everything. Our beliefs create our thoughts. Our thoughts create our actions create our habits create our destiny over time. And so belief is like literally the foundation for everything. And I don't know why, but when I first started out, I had this fiery, unshakable belief that I was going to be successful, and I saw the vision, I saw the opportunity, like from a niche standpoint of like, wow, like this is like literally an open field because there's literally nobody making, in my opinion, right? Because art is subjective. In my opinion, there's no one making really tasteful, photographic, large scale artwork um, around the subject matter of the water in this area where I live in the southeast. And so it created a belief, like this deep seated belief that I could be successful because there was an opportunity. But I also had the belief, I think it's just from childhood. I still have the belief that like I can be successful or I can do whatever I put my mind to within reason.
Yeah.
And I think that belief just came from my upbringing, my childhood.
And with that being said, now with you at this price point and you understand like my artwork is worth these prices, what's the most expensive work you have at the moment?
Like in the gallery, or
Just period. How
uh,
expensive can your photography get?
I mean, it can be over $30,000.
And that's just for perspective for those watching this, the price points of these works. Now, with that being said, before meeting me, you already had works listed at anywhere from like six, to my understanding, to like you mentioned, 30,000. So, what made you decide? You know what? Maybe I need to get some help. Maybe I need to join all this rise.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that's helped me already get to a place of like abundance in terms of like um, financial abundance is finding people, coaches, mentors, consultants, people who are already, years ahead of me. I think that, you can learn from books, you can learn from doing something yourself and failing, or you can fast track and learn from people who are already doing it and can help you. So I saw the artist rise, and I said, there's no better investment I can make than investment into myself and acquiring more skills that I don't know um, how to do yet. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I want to join is I wanted to, sharpen my tool belt.
So it wasn't like an actual struggle at the moment. You were just thinking, you know what? I always think there's room for improvement. You just trying to get into that improvement however you could.
Yeah, no, but I definitely think there's still struggle because like even though like I'm super grateful where I'm at, I'm still not where I want to be. So like in
Right.
that sense, like it's still a struggle because I'm not at the place where I want to be yet. But I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm
Right.
not, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
So let me ask you this. Now you mentioned there's still struggle, right? So at this time, not today, I know exactly where you're at today, but let's say when we first met, what was the main thing you were struggling with at that time that you was trying to get relief from, or just get help as far as solving?
I think I mean, lead flow, just more opportunities would be the first thing, and the ability to close more opportunities. So the ability to improve in my sales skills.
Yeah. And just for artists watching this, basically, in like very simple terms, is more exposure and then closing that exposure, getting those people to actually buy your work, right?
Exactly.
So with that being said, I think we end up having like 2 calls or so, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, so when we first talked in that conversation, what made you decide I'm gonna do this? I think this guy's the one to be able to help me.
That's a great question. I don't. It's probably so long ago.
It was like how long was it? Like a year and a half or maybe
A
something
year,
like that.
at least a year ago. I don't even remember. I just remember the my intuition was like, I really trust my intuition. I think I asked some clarifying questions. I told you where I was at, and you gave me kind of a blueprint, maybe a roadmap of what you think I should be doing. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Now, speaking of that, a lot of people gonna see this and say, "Wow, this guy's already successful," which is very true compared to like what majority of artists are at. So, where were you at that time? A year and a half ago, when you met me, how much were you making, like on average per month or so?
Yeah, I mean, I was already hitting multiple six figures, so I think I was averaging, I think maybe 31, 32, $33,000 a month.
So, you was already basically crushing it. And then at this time, if you don't mind sharing,
Yeah.
where were you trying to go? So, you're trying to go from 30 a month to where?
I mean, I'm trying to get to. I mean, my main goal is to get to at least like $87,000 a month on average, because then I'd be grossing over a million. So I really want to cross that, be able to gross over a million in 1 year. So that's what I'm aiming for.
And how do you come to that belief to really, really deeply understand and
So resume where we left off. So you're talking about where I want to get to.
Yep. So before we even get to that, I was asking. So right now when I say right now, we thinking back when we first met. You're doing
Right.
30,000. You're thinking like, okay, I want to get to 87,000 because I want to gross. I want to hit a million in a year, right? And then with that being a goal, like what shift or what help you believe that that was actually achievable? Because most artists we talk to, just being completely transparent, they don't think it's even possible to make over 4,000 per month, and you're talking about almost 100,000.
Yeah, I mean, what made me believe it is just, I mean, it's been my belief since I started. That's been, I mean, I know it's possible. I know I'm going to. Like, I have that. I just have to know it's going to happen. Uh, I mean, I don't know how to answer it other than that. Like, I just know that it's definitely very achievable. I mean, it really comes down to a numbers game, just increasing the number of opportunities. I don't even remember. We got
So I was just asking you as far as having the belief to really see that you could do 100,000. How was you able to just gain that type of belief? Because most artists don't even think it's possible to earn over 4,000 a month.
yeah. That's I don't know. It's kind of a tough question because I've had that belief since I started. Like I started with that belief that like that's what I'm working towards, like working backwards. But I think I had that belief because I'd seen other artists do it, but I didn't know the artist. I just knew some data. I knew
Yeah,
that other artists were doing it, so I thought, if this artist can do it, then I can do it too. If I can see somebody do it, then I can do it too. Oh, then actually, this reminded me of the main thing, and then the real thing that made me think was I got exposed. I joined a non-art kind of like coaching consultant business accelerator program, and being in that, I got exposed to people going from 0 to 50, 0 to 1 million in a month, 0 to 20 million in a year. So I think that exposure to people growing super fast in businesses that are much less friction than art made me have the belief that, oh, like if they can do it, then I can do it too.
yeah. So with that being said, now we're at the point of you joining Artist Rise. We starting to work together. What did those initial months look like?
Yeah. So when we started, so we have a one-on-one relationship. So, and I mean it's been awesome. So when we started, I was basically at where I was, a year ago, at averaging $33,000 a month. That's where I was at. And we worked one on one. You kind of gave me a roadmap.
So even do this.
Yeah.
10 minutes. How did that one-to-one relationship even come about, right? Because, all right, I'm gonna give some briefing. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know this, but you're doing some crazy numbers, which you're gonna get to. But now we work together one-on-one, as you just mentioned. It's a one-to-one relationship to help you grow your art sales. But before that, you end up joining the actual training like the other artists. But because you didn't have much time, you had like an assistant go through the training on your behalf, right?
Yes.
Assistant going through the training wasn't necessarily seeing the results at least that you wanted to get to. So then talk about how did this one-to-one relationship come about?
Yeah, I reached out and I was like, listen, like I have this new opportunity. I'm about to move to a new gallery. This is my goal. I want to hit 1 million a year. Are you willing to? Would you be interested in having like a one-on-one like coaching relationship or mentorship?
And then after that, I remember I literally told Jonah, here's the thing, Jonah. I have like no one-to-one clients at this point. It's just too hectic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but then you was like, look, I'm just trying to scale this thing up. I don't know as much. I think I could still learn a lot. No, I'm sorry. You say I know a lot, but I think there's so much more for me to still learn to try to get to this goal. And you kind of like, I think this is the best opportunity as far as me getting there, right? And then what happened was I said, okay, let me do some thinking. I give you a call back. Then I offer you an opportunity to work with me, which a lot of people are going to see this, and I can tell you now, they instantly going to say, "I want that same opportunity. I want that same opportunity. I want to work with Joe. I want to work with Jaroid one on one." If that's what Jonah did to get to where he at. But the thing about Jonah is he was already crushing it, and Jonah basically paid. Let me just put it out there. Jonah paid an expensive price to get that one-to-one access. Now, with that being said, and I'm comfortable with saying it's an expensive price because of the results that led from that one-on-one access. But now, just to give people some context, what do this one-to-one access look like as far as us working together?
Yeah. So just texting, calling. So voice messaging mostly. If I have a question, a concern, a problem specific to me, to a certain sale, to pretty much anything in my art business, I send a voice message to Jaroid, send a text message. He'll get back to me via voice message, or we have a phone call. And we've had, I mean, I haven't even tracked how many phone calls we've had. We've had, a lot of phone calls. And
Yep.
the nuggets of information that I've implemented, and I've seen these micro shifts in my behaviors, and it's causing definitely large results.
The crazy part is they always start off the same. It'll start off with you saying something along the lines of, "Hey, Gerard, I'm gonna play like a little snippet of one. So this is like the messages."
All right.
Hey, Joy, appreciate the call yesterday. I spoke with Jason, and I hope
That was a review of the one.
good things about you. And said, you've helped me a lot. So let me know what he decides to report a couple of different voice.
They playing over each other. I'm trying to find one because they all start the same with, "Hey, Gerard, quick question."
Hey, Joy, appreciate you touching base. Yeah, we hopped on a call, and
That was about a car review. All right. Okay, here's one.
hey, Droid, hope you're doing well, man. Just gonna record this quick audio message. I've kind of got two things going on right now. I'd love to ask you.
So literally, me and Jonah relationship literally just been maybe once.
Hey, Droid, hope you're doing well today. I have a question for you. So I'm going to do a direct mail campaign.
So I'm not gonna play them because I know they personal. But literally, the way me and Jonah relationship end up forming is that it's to the point where he'll just send me maybe a 1 minute voice message of a question. It's like, "Hey, Jaroid," then he'll ask me some form of a question. And it's maybe one a week, sometimes two within a week. And then I'd be like, okay, I'll send me the question back up. I have a few minutes. I'll give you a phone call, right? So anything you want to add to that? That's basically what that looks like.
That's it.
So I know for people those watching may think they probably having like one-to-one coaching calls, meetings 3 times a week. It's extremely informal. And I just wait, and Jonah probably give me a quick 1 minute voice message, and I send him maybe a 1 minute voice message back, or hop on like a 3 minute phone call. That's it. Now, moving to that point, right? This is the beginning of you moving into the gallery. I'll let you explain what made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna try to work with Jaroid one-on-one while I'm getting this gallery here.
Yeah, I mean, my hypothesis was, so I had another gallery location. It was a warehouse. I had to drive all traffic there. It was by appointment only, and so the hypothesis for the new gallery locations, new development, new construction was, hey, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to lease this space, which is really expensive. But my hypothesis is that I'm going to have a ton more traffic, and not just traffic, but like really qualified traffic walking in, who has the ability to buy and the interest in buying my art. And so that was my hypothesis, a year ago when I decided to sign a lease, and the hypothesis was very much true. It's been incredible thus far. My numbers have basically doubled, and I think that we're just getting started. So,
And with that being said, so now let's talk a little bit about that. So now fast forwarding to today, how much would you say you're averaging per month? That's like the last 3 months or so, if you don't mind sharing.
yeah, I'd say my average would be like 62,000 right now.
62,000.
But
And
I just had my first. It was like the last 30 days. My dashboard said 99,000, which is pretty crazy.
and what that look like how could you just say 62,000? How did it get to 99,000?
Just closing more deals.
So this month is your first. If you could get another 1,000, would be your first 100 grand month.
Yes.
What that feel like as a visual artist? Because I know majority of visual artists, and we talk to like thousands every year. They can't even fathom making, for the most part, over 5,000 a month, and you're talking about 100,000 in 30 days. What does that feel like for an artist?
It's awesome. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even aware of it because I've just been. I mean, right now I'm working 7 days a week. I'm like down in the weeds. Like I'm working a lot right now.
And that's actually, if we're going to get to that, we're going to get to this. And you just brought a good thought to my head. A lot of artists, they reach out and like, hey, Jaroid, I want to make 10,000, 5, 13, 15. But how much time do I have to commit to it? I see you have artists doing 20,000 per month, but do I have to put in more than 3 hours per month, right? So people are going to watch this and going to say, holy shit, this guy doing $100,000 months. What's your work schedule typically look like? What do your life look like as an artist?
I mean, yeah, my life is pretty scheduled out right now. I don't have a lot of free time. Right now, it's basically short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain until I have a little more help, a little more assistance. But basically, I wake up probably around 6 a.m. every day, take my dog on a walk on the beach, maybe make some photographs, and then I'll come back. I'll do a breathing exercise, like a Wim Hof breathing meditation. Then I'll make some coffee, and then I'm with my partner and my girlfriend, and we have some time together. And then I go to the gym, a personal trainer, 3 days a week. I sweat it out for like an hour and a half. And then after that, I come straight home and have my meal preps, eat breakfast, meal prep for the day. Then I go to the gallery, and I'm at the gallery from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. So the gallery's open all those hours. And that's why I'm there all those hours. And while I'm there, I'm really, I work on a lot of different things, but, really it's for me, really my main priority is, working on sales.
Speaking of that, what's the split between, like you said, your main priority is working on sales. What's the split between business and creating art?
Yeah, I think right now the balance of it is not what it normally is, just because I've been so much into the business side of it.
And what is it right now?
I'd say right now, 90-10, 90 business, 10 art.
So you're talking, just for artists listening, you're talking 90% business, 10% creator.
Yeah, but I will say that in years past, I have an archive that, I'm so prolific. I have so much stuff. I have so much work. In the past, it was 90 making art, 10% business, but then I wasn't making any money, right? I was just making art all the time. So I built up an archive of so much work. So right now, like if I didn't make another piece of art for the rest of my life, like I could sustain myself off of my current art craft. Do I want to do that? Absolutely not. I love making work. That's why I got into this. I became an artist, and I'm still an artist because I love the process of making art. That's my favorite thing. That's not even work to me. That
Yeah.
percentage is, it's not even work. It's what I do. It's fun. It's who I am. It's my identity. However, right now I'm in a season of just really focusing and working a lot, so I can get to the place where I'm basically sustaining myself at this income level, and I have assistants, and so that way I'm able to focus more time on creating more art while the 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 sales are still happening.
For the artists that just want to make 10,000 per month, what advice would you give them as far as like a split between business and creating?
That's a great question. I think at least depends how fast you want to, like if you, I say a minimum 50-50. If you want results fast, like 80-20, 80-20 rule, 80 business, 20 art.
So, and then you say, but the bare minimum should be 50-50.
Yeah. Minimum.
So many artists don't get that. Like we talk to so many artists and they say, Jaroid, I want to make this goal, but do I have to put in more than 2 hours a day on the marketing and business side? Do I have to put in more than 1 hour a day on the marketing? And I'm like, you just don't know. Like if what a lot of artists don't understand, and I had an interview with another artist, and she said the perfect like analogy. What a lot of artists don't understand is that business and actually creating art is two completely different jobs. And they're equally important. I forgot who I interviewed, and she said this. She says, I came to this understanding, Jaroid. And I'm like, what is it? She said, you got to think of it as a mechanic. The guy who's under the hood working on a car gonna get really, really great at working on a car. But if he don't invest that same amount of time into selling that car, he'll have a beautiful car that I never sell. And I say that's so spot on. So for those that may think like Jonah is freaking crazy, working 90% of his time currently on the business side and 10% on the art, but that's literally how it works. Because at this point, any artist, if you watch this, you probably want to be a full-time artist, but that's a full-time career, which includes sales and business, right? I mean, sales, business, and creating art.
Yeah, my belief is that if you want to get to your income level as an artist, the more you focus on skills on acquiring those skills of marketing and sales, the faster you're going to get results by doing the right thing.
So let me ask you this, just moving forward. Now, being someone that's at these numbers, right? What's the end goal for, like, not even an end goal? Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Yeah, for end goal is definitely no retirement. I think I love being an artist. I want to be an artist for the rest of my life. I love my lifestyle. I love doing what I want to do. However, I love surfing a lot, so I definitely want to spend more time surfing, and that requires me being in a different location because the waves aren't so great here. So for me, I see myself in how many years? Is it 3 years, 5 years? 3 years. I'm not gonna be. I think 3 years from now, I won't be in the gallery, working in the gallery, at all. I think I'll have a team behind me, and I will still be focusing very much on marketing sales aspects, but I will have a lot more free time to be creating new work, and I'll be living in probably Central America part of the year, maybe Puerto Rico, maybe Costa Rica. Yeah.
Tell me this. We're gonna be jumping around at this point. So at this point, with having this type of success, what it's like, and first I'm gonna say this. Walk me through experience. What's the biggest sale you made so far in the last 3 months? One sale.
Biggest sale I've made has been over 45 grand.
45 grand. How did that sale happen?
It's crazy. This never happens. Like this is crazy.
Walk me through it. Everybody want to know.
This is crazy. This doesn't really happen. Most of the time,
we're gonna talk about how the average sale happened.
Okay, this is
still got to talk about how this happened.
This is a dream. This is a dream client. So
you have to talk about who it is, anything.
Yeah.
This the one you told me about?
I don't even know. I attracted a dream client. I got a phone call somebody, they said that they wanted to purchase a specific piece of art. They already knew which art they wanted. They knew the size for an anniversary gift. Literally, it's perfect. I had the drafted invoice on the phone, sent it to them. They paid it. Like, knew what they wanted. No question asked. Awesome. A couple weeks later, I delivered the piece of art to the client, and they told me where it was going to go, and it wasn't the right size. It was a little bit too small. I went through the whole house. They had so many opportunities for art, and they took me through the whole house. They're like, well, we want more pieces, and they ended up buying multiple pieces after I went to the house, and I saw the space, and I basically made renderings. So they would take photos of spaces. I have people send me photos, and I make renderings so they can see exactly what a piece of art is going to look like without having to move it or have the piece of art printed, mounted, framed, and so forth. And so, yeah, it resulted in that.
How your average $15,000 to $20,000 sale happens?
Well, before I had the gallery, it would just, it's still inbound, it's all inbound inquiries. But right now, it's different for the past versus now. Now, somebody comes in the gallery and they express interest, and they have to think about it. Art is a high friction buying process. There's a lot of things that are involved in this, in the sale: the size, the colors, the medium, significant others. So the average sale looks like somebody coming to the gallery and seeing the work and putting a deposit down and then deciding what they want. All the details kind of later.
Yep. And then afterwards, they end up paying a remaining. You end up shipping the artwork to them, and then they end up getting it, hanging it. Speaking of that, what shipping? Because that scares a lot of people. What shipping looks like for a piece of that size? So for those who don't know, this is a 72 by 96.
96 inches wide plus the frame, I think. So it was like probably 98 or 100.
It's a huge piece.
Plus, I don't even know what the height is. I just have to look. It's big.
I think it's like 72. I think so. It's pretty big. So when Jonah sent me this piece, I seen what the packaging looked like. So walk me through that. Is it really scary? Because a lot of people say, I don't know about creating a piece of that size just because I'm scared about the packaging and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, luckily I work with a photographic laboratory who handles all my shipping. So I don't have to really to handle it. But no, it is. I can understand why artists would be scared.
Yeah.
Because some pieces do get damaged sometimes, and that's completely out of my control. It's it's literally out of your control. But it's part of the process. Shipping work. If you want to get clients, around, you gotta ship.
Yep. Luckily, this one ain't get damaged. I remember you telling me, just let me know if it get damaged. No big deal. I'm like, no big deal, and that's definitely a big deal. But but luckily, this piece didn't get damaged. So, and then for the photographers that may even want to go look that up and even use that company, what's the name of them again?
So there's so many different companies you can work with. There's companies all around the United States. There's like a company called Bay Photo. There's another one in Rhode Island. What are they called? Oh my gosh! And then I work with a company in Germany. There's called Greiger. There's a lot of different photographic laboratories that you can use.
And now we're at this point of you having your first. We still have like 7 more days left in this month. So we're gonna just claim the 100,000. We're 1,000 away. So we're gonna just claim it. But with that being said, looking back to when we first started working like one-to-one, and at this point that you're at now, after all the voice messages, getting all that advice from me, and you better know sales and closing more deals, and now you're looking at Jonah to date, giving Jonah advice back to when you first started, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, I would say focus. It's kind of like these little micro shifts. Micro shifts can have like a really big outcome, but I would say, where I was struggling was specific with sales. If 10% of people who walk, if you think there's 100% of people, 10% of people who walk in are just not going to buy. There's another 10% of people who will buy, and you don't have to, there's no really sales process. They know what want. Then there's the other 80% in the middle that like a sales process has to take place. So that's what I would focus on. I would focus on that sales process and really dialing it in and making it as streamlined and efficient as possible, and handling any objections and obstacles that come up in the way before they come up.
And with you having that one-to-one access to me at this point, what's the biggest lesson you've learned out of everything since starting to work with me?
Oof, I think actually our last phone call was very valuable, which is
Talk about that.
knowing your value of how to shift when somebody asks for a
I'm gonna
discount.
stop you here.
What's that?
I'm gonna stop you here. Before, don't explain the process, but tell everybody kind of like that situation of what happened and then what you took away from that.
Okay, so all right. So the situation was somebody wanted a custom piece of art, but it wasn't just one piece. They wanted 2 pieces. So they came to the gallery. They were like, "Yes, we want to move forward. I'll send you the photos. We'll make renderings." I made them the renderings. I told them the price, and they were a little bit surprised the price was so high.
What was the price?
Well, that wasn't that high. It was $16,000.
That's high. Just for people, keep in mind. But why he's like it wasn't that high. It was just 16,000. But continue.
All right, so it was 16,000, and the person's response was, why is it 16,000? Like, that's really high. Like, I don't remember anything in the gallery being that high, which I do have pieces that high in the gallery. They just didn't see them. But I was like, listen, you saw pieces that are just one piece. You want 2, right? So she wanted 2, and I told her the price, and it was just out of her budget, or not out of her budget, but she just didn't see, I guess, the value in that piece for that price. Even though I knew that she's qualified, she could definitely afford the piece, because I knew she had told me she spent over 30 grand on a piece before. So definitely could afford it. Just didn't see the value. And so instead of devaluing the work by offering a discount, the correct thing to do, or what I should have done, is to...
Don't go into the teaching.
No, okay.
I'll pull you back.
All right.
For telling a story. Okay, so you're at the point where, let's say you hit me up, you're like, "Hey, Jaroid, what should I do?" At this person who's seen this piece of 16,000, she's trying to get me to she's saying she only trying to pay this much. At this point, just for transparency, you was thinking about like lowering the price a little bit, right?
Right.
You just kind of meet her a little bit in the middle or something like that. And then now you're talking about like saying the value. That's what we kind of talked. I say, hey, she got the money. It's not about the prices. She don't see the value in the work, right? And then from there, what Jonah was saying, like the biggest lesson was, and this is for every artist that's going to see this, the biggest lesson and something I'm extremely big on is like, 1, not discounting your work, and 2, understanding your own value. But what Jonah was about to get to, that's why I had to cut him off because I heard it coming. Jonah was about to explain like how he was able to communicate that value for future conversations and future sales. But a fun takeaway just for anybody watching, just a little mini lesson here. If somebody ever trying to negotiate with you about your prices, never ever negotiate, only because that's going to discredit you and it's going to cause you to lose value for your actual work. And every time they come back to purchase again, they're going to want another deal every time. Instead, completely remove the ideal of negotiating with them completely right in that moment. Say, hey, I don't negotiate on prices, and then explain why by building the value of the work. And that's kind of the same thing I told Jonah. Obviously, it was much more in depth. And then that's when Jonah took away. What you say after I explained that to you?
I was like, I think this is the most valuable little nugget I've gotten so far that I can implement.
And the crazy,
because it does come up. Every person wants to negotiate. Not every person, but a large percentage of people, they like to negotiate. It's a game, So
exactly.
they're used to negotiating, and it never hurts to ask. I mean, I negotiate everywhere I go. I'm mirrored. Like I always negotiate. Always, So I'm trying to negotiate. So it's definitely a very, very, very valuable lesson and skill to implement to stand in your value as an artist.
And for those artists who want to get to this point, right? As far as let's say they're like, that's me. I want a million. I want the $100,000 months. What advice would you give them?
There's so much.
Before you even answer that, I'm gonna switch this up. For the person that just want to get to 5 to 10,000, what advice would you give that artist first?
That's a great question. I got to think about it for a moment. I would start with belief. I would tell that artist that you have to believe you can do it. You have to just know it and have to absolutely believe and have the commitment that you're not going to stop until you do it, until you achieve it, and that you're fully committed to the process. First step is just a belief and commitment to achieving that result. The second thing I would say,
And this is for the 5 to 10,000, right?
yeah, but I think it goes for anybody.
I'm 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 gonna reword the question for 100,000. So I'm gonna just stick to 5 to 10,000
Okay.
right now.
5, 10.
Let's say I'm at zero, right?
Yeah.
But I paint like crazy in my mom's house. I'm extremely passionate. I create these beautiful works, and I'm just trying to make 60,000 a year. What advice would you give me?
I would tell that person to find their avatar, to create their avatar, which is the profile of their type of buyer who's going to be interested in the subject matter of their work and the style and of what they create, and find where that buyer is hanging out, online, in person, anywhere, and get your work in front of that buyer online or in person as best as you can, whether that's getting them to your studio, or posting on social media. I mean, I think social media is very, very important. It has been super, super important for me. A lot of for me, deals have come through social media. So prioritizing and consistently making really quality content online is a huge priority, and identifying your avatar and identifying where they're hanging out online or in person, and getting your work in front of them and doing whatever it takes. And then once you have their attention, learning how to navigate a sales conversation, a sales process, and overcome any obstacles and objections that may come up in that process, and do it every day for a year. And then you'll easily hit that. And if you do that every single day for a year, I think you would definitely hit at least $5,000 a month.
There you go. Jonah just basically explained the entire training from the overview. That's I was thought you were gonna give like just some motivational, but that's actually spot on. That's like spot on what that artist need to do. Now, that's why I stopped you from talking about the 100,000. You mentioned belief. Something I believe is that what takes you to get to 5, 10,000 isn't the same thing that's going to get you to 100, right? That's two completely different people. So that, let's say now that person is doing 5, 10,000. What advice if they came back and say, "Hey, Jonah, I'm doing it. I listened to you. I'm doing 5, 10,000 a month now. How do I get to 100? Or how do I? Let's just say, how do I get to 60?"
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for all artists. I can just speak for what has kind of my path and my route, which is continuing to do what I'm doing, but focusing and doubling down on what is working. So whatever marketing attributions, however you got the sales in the past, whatever has led the most sales for you, continue to do that and put your time and attention into those things, but with more intensity and more focus, until you're at where you want to be. And if you're not where you want to be, then revisiting what you're doing, and tracking what you do. You track everything. I could go. I mean, this question is like, I could go on a
That's enough.
30-minute
You
tangent
could
about this.
make an entire lesson about it, right?
Yeah,
Now,
man, for hours.
let's say, all right, understand who my buyers are, get in front of them, get into conversations, close sales. I got it. That's what I need to do. Let's say the artists are like, you know what? I don't want to jump through all the loops of figuring these things out on my own. I'm gonna just join Artist Rise and learn how they do it. So now let's say that person joined the training, right? And it's day one. What advice would you give that person?
I would say to first and foremost do the full training, like soak it in, soak it up, do the training, in the schedule that there's laid out, and just firstly do it, because a lot of people join things and they don't do shit. So actually do it, go through it, and then measure where you're at, and then I'd say do the full training again.
So just become obsessed with the learning part.
Literally just do whatever the training says, and to keep doing it and revisiting the actions until you get the result that desired result.
It's crazy that you say that, because every interview we did, just about everybody said the same thing. They're like, just follow it as you said, just follow it, and I talked to MJ. MJ said, just take action. A lot of people, and you hit the note on the head. He said a lot of people come into it and they say, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about doing that. Hey, what you think about this? Because I'm thinking about it. It's like, just do it. Just actually do it. Just go through it. All right. Now, a little fun question I always like to ask. Being someone, the only one of 2023, so that's 2022, who worked with me one-to-one. So I feel like you got a chance to really, really get to know me at this point. What advice would you give me?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, that's so good. I'll have to ponder that one. Oh, man.
And it could be anything.
Could be anything.
Life, work, personal, business, coaching. Literally anything. Could be multiple things.
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I might have to think on it for a little bit. What advice would I give Jaroid?
Why everybody ponder? I feel like I give advice all my life on these for trainers and stuff for all the artists, and then
become more. You got to be more active on social media. Yeah, more active on social media for sure. On Instagram, like you're not active on social media, right? Like super active. Like I mean, you have a following. Like you've grown that following, from.
Yeah, that's I don't know how my following just keep growing, because I'm not active. I think in the past 4 years, I probably have 40 posts. So, okay, be more active.
Yeah, it's to be more active. I mean, I don't know. I know you have just one offer, and you're trying to work.
The good thing is, every artist, at least that I know, love dogs, so you're fine.
All right, I gotta now the girlfriend's here. Now the
Go
girlfriend.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Louise, man, I've never had so many interruptions in a single Zoom call in my entire life. This has been insane.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine.
Okay, I was going to say, what was I going to say?
Website, and then you say second offer.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know. Exploring. I mean, it could be I don't know if it's the right advice for you, but one just thing that comes to my head is like, I wonder if he had a low ticket offer, if he had like something lower end that he could offer. But I know that's obviously not the priority. So I'm not saying that's advice. I'm just like pondering.
Yeah, I'm asking. I'm like wondering, what advice would you give me?
Oh, I know. I'm saying this from user experience. Zoom calls on the trainings for the weekly face-to-face. Yes, 100%.
And just so people can understand why you say that.
Because currently, or in the past, the trainings, the weekly meetings were, we can see you, you can't see us. and there's a chat commentary. For me, I like being able to see someone's face. I like talking face to face. I feel like there's more value in that. But I can see why, from your standpoint, why you wouldn't want to do that. I can understand why. However, from the user end, I think this experience of being able to see someone's face and truly see, like, it's more personal. Like you can literally see someone's essence. You can like literally see the human being in front of you, instead of like sometimes like digital things, like you're far removed. It might not feel like you're actually like speaking to someone. I think having the in-person or the Zoom call with the training, I think would be super valuable.
Okay, so I got more active on social media and Zoom calls.
I think I'm going to ponder this now. I'm going to think about it for like a couple of days, then I'll tell you.
Man, I had an interview with MJ, and I was talking to him, and he was like, dude, I've been hoping you ask me this question. Your website, it have to go. You need a new web. I'm like, damn, slow down, MJ. I get it. Get a new website. He's like, bro, that website, it have to go. But nah, I got it. All right. So now, I had some good answers to it. I think those were the best. So website, more active on social media, Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And
like you.
All right, don't get carried away now. Don't get carried away.
Just
now, just messing with you.
Create more, video content. Just focus on video content.
So just putting myself out there more. That's what literally a lot of people wonder, like, is this dude even legit? Because I don't see nothing about him online. I don't see many videos. I don't see any content. So yeah.
Yeah, I think more video content, because I know some other coaching programs that I've joined. Their biggest one of their biggest sources of leads, booked appointments, is YouTube organic, which is crazy.
So content. And then before we end this thing, if you had to leave those watching this, all the artists that's going to see this, what would be your last words to give them before hopping off this interview?
Oof. There's so much.
If you had to leave them, say, look, I'm going to leave you guys with this, what would it be?
For the artists who are just starting out, who they're not where they want to be, the first step is being fully committed and not having a fallback. Because if you have a fallback, you're going to fall back on it. So being fully committed to your practice and committed to the business and the marketing sales side of it. Being fully committed for life. If you're an artist, that's who you are and that's your identity. You love to make work. So if you want to do it for the rest of your life, then you have to commit to it, and you got to figure out how to make the finances work.
So basically, give it 100% and go all in if you really, really want to make it happen.
Yeah, that's the first.
Make it work.
I think it's the first step. If you're already there, but you're still not where you want to be financially, then you're focusing on the wrong things. And so it'd be discovering and what those things are and focusing more on those things that are going to get you the result that you want.
With that being your last words, I'm not going to let you say another thing. And we're going to end this interview here. I appreciate you coming on and telling your story with everybody, Jonah.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.